Father, please share some practical suggestions on how to avoid absorbing the worldly spirit during and after the Christmas celebrations. What are we going to do about this worldly spirit during Christmas? Anything useful from your experience would be great. Most people are not near a monastery, so they don't have the opportunity to go to many services. Some parish priests take time off to be with the family, so after December 25th, services become rarer. At the same time, there are family gatherings, friends, visits, going out. All this makes the spiritual attitude vanish pretty quickly. What can we do to avoid neutralizing any good work that may have happened during the fast? Thank you. That's a great question, Maya. I really appreciate that. It shows you're paying attention to the inner world and the spiritual life. And it's a great, great question. So this is very typical, right? Very typical that we have a long fast and we have a big feast. And then within days, we're back like, at the horse trough, so to speak, right? We're back doing the old ways immediately, mainly surrounding the question of food. Now, having said that, we do celebrate in the Orthodox Church, and we do have festive periods, and we do eat festal foods and all the rest, and it's essential. Like we cannot, that's not bad. That's not a sin. It's a part of the life. The fast and feast, right? They go together. So the question is not, you must not feast, God forbid. But the question is, how do you do it in a way that is spiritual? Because you never stop. As you say, the temptation is you just throw all the profit away if you go right back to the way. Not so much will you have a feast, but how? What's going to be the nature of the feast? It still has to be Christian. It still has to be spiritual. It still has to be virtuous, right? We don't just, now we have a justification to go and drink and eat and sleep. No, not at all. There's no justification, and we're in delusion if that's what we're doing. Unfortunately, as you say, especially in America and other places where we're surrounded by non-Orthodox who don't really have that on their radar, aren't interested in it, and doesn't mean they're bad people or even that they're partying or anything, but they just don't. It's not a part of their outlook as to what we need to be cognizant of, and of course there are many Orthodox who are like that as well. So it is a challenge. So what can we do? Well, first of all, we can maintain, regardless of the change in what we're eating, we can maintain the spiritual, and we must maintain the spiritual vigilance that we had during the fast in preparation for the feast. We should continue as much as possible. I understand there are parishes that don't have services after the 25th, which is unfortunate. In Greece, we would always have the 26th and the 27th Divine Liturgy, because we have the Synaxes of the Most Holy Theotokos on the 26th. We have the Feast of Saint Stephen, the first martyr, the proto-martyr, the archdeacon, on the 27th. And so they're really important feasts. Usually then, after that, there is a lull in the parishes on the 28th. Some rarely you'll have a Divine Liturgy, maybe on the 28th, 29th. You have the feast of, I think, Saint Melanie on the 31st, 30th. What is it? You have all the slaughtered infants on the 28th or 29th. I can't remember. So you don't have great feasts, and so a lot of times it won't be Divine Liturgy. So we have to maintain our prayer rule. We have to maintain our vigilance, our reading. We have to maintain our program. One of the biggest problems we have is that we might have a strict program or a stricter program during the fast. So we're going to bed early, getting up early, make sure we're doing our comp line, make sure we're doing our prayer rule. And then that kind of, we get really lax quick because, let's stay a little bit later. Oh, I can't get up in the morning. There goes my prayer rule. There goes my comp line. And that's the main problem. The main problem is not that you're at a relative's house and they're doing whatever they're doing because they're not Orthodox. And so you're just going to be patient if you have to go to these and your family takes you there or whatever. You just have to be patient. Say the Jesus prayer. Be patient. Wait it out. That's not the real problem. The real problem is that we put down the spiritual warfare, that we stop the program, the schedule we set aside, the prayer we set aside. We become, we eat too much. We eat a lot of sugar, a lot of fat, a lot of this, a lot of that, and we drink maybe too much. And now it's time to enjoy all the gifts. And so now we're going to be watching movies in the evening instead of what we were doing before, which was maybe praying or reading more. All of that needs to be checked. There's no way around it. You can't have both. You can't serve both masters. So you got to check them as much as possible. And when you can't control it because your family has other agendas or your larger relatives have other agendas and you're part of this reality, you have to, in a sense, live a double life to a certain degree. Like, you're going to go to the party or whatever it is. You're going to go to the friend's house, the relative's house. You're going to be, of course, loving and considerate, but internally, there's going to be a great war going on to maintain vigilance and prayer. And so that's a tall, a difficult challenge because you have so many distractions, but there's no way around it. Otherwise, you have to cut off those relationships, which probably is not going to be blessed, because you have to be considerate of the family to a certain degree. You have to be considerate of the days and the kids and the various things that people are going to be wanting from you. So you walk that tightrope like always, but you've got to in your own downtime, in your private time, make sure you're doing your prayer rule. Maybe even increase a little bit more prayers. Maybe say the supplication service, say the akathist, say something else to keep vigilance. Keep reading your lives. Keep reading the writings of the fathers. And I think I think you can get through it without a lot of damage. But all that has to be maintained, secretly in your cell or in your room or in your house. Don't let your guard down. Don't become lax. If you do take a break, which I think is perfectly acceptable, there's always, saints, the elders, the monasteries, they take breaks. They're not constantly. I'm not saying they take breaks from the spiritual life, but they take breaks from certain duties they have, or they change their program. They're not working, of course, on those feast days. They're not working as much as possible on major feast days like the 25th, 26th. Generally, they're going to slow things down big time. And so we'll do the same, analogous with our situation in the world. I don't have any special formula or special insight beyond that. And I don't think there is. I think ultimately it comes down to, did you get up earlier than everybody else? Did you say your prayers? Did you do your prayer rule? Did you say the Jesus prayer? Did you make sure before you went to bed you did the prayer or you did compline? Are you doing the prayer throughout the day? All of that is at the heart of what we're going to do to maintain the grace, not fall away from and lose all the fruit of the previous 40 days.